Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing good. So, today is the day 3 of our session for the web development. In the last sessions, we studied about some of the HTML part. What are the different type of tags that are present in HTML? What exactly how HTML works? Then we studied how we can style our web pages by using CSS, and we also studied some of the concepts of JavaScript. So I hope you guys have also completed a assignment that I gave you yesterday regarding we had to create a page in which we were using both the concepts of HTML and CSS that we had studied, and I hope you guys were able to complete it. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to study uh, some more important concepts in JavaScript, and then we'll move to the APIs and backend part today. So let me share my screen. Give me a minute. Hmm. Okay, so I'll quickly revise everything what we have studied right now for the JavaScript part so that it becomes more clear to all of you what we were studying, right? So just give me a minute. Yeah. So now what we are going to do is we are going to revise the JavaScript concepts. So yeah, in the yesterday's class we studied that we can write JavaScript in our code along with HTML, and we can connect it with our HTML file by using script tag, similar to how we were doing it for CSS. So I already told you guys that HTML is used for creating a structure of the web page, and CSS is generally used for creating styling, and it's like painting house for decoration, and HTML is blueprint of the house. Then I also told you that what is the role of JavaScript in all this. So JavaScript is just like building electricity connections at the house, water connection, like how your house will be functioning, that is defined by, that is just a similar example to how JavaScript is going to be working for website. So JavaScript can also be said as a core functioning of the web page, right? It can also be said as a, good evening, this can be said as a core functioning of the web page, right? Then we studied about what are different arrays that we have. So like we can initialize an array like this by using the let, and if we have like these similar arrays, we can initialize array value at some particular designated index. And there were some operations that we studied, like we can push in an array, pop, shift or unshift. We also had like we can create join two arrays. We can also check if the array includes a particular value. We can also find the index of an array. We studied about the reverse method and many more. Then one important concept, that if we use double equal to or triple equal to compare two arrays, then we'll always be getting false, because these two arrays are stored in memory in different locations in the computer. So that's all we studied in yesterday's class. Now we are going to study about the objects, object literals that are present in JavaScript, which is very important when it comes to like how we are understanding, like how we are using JavaScript for web development. So every time we are going to you not every time we are going to use some variables a and b. A lot of times in web development we use objects in JavaScript. So what exactly are objects? So like I told you earlier also, if I open this particular, let me open a particular HTML page for describing it in more detail. So let's suppose I have this HTML page, I'll just paste the path here and open it in my browser. And I will click on inspect and I will open the console here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I have written here an array which is food items. If I open this, you can see I have nested array, white bread and brown bread, and another array at index 1 and at index 2. So if I want to access any value, for example this particular value, what I can write here is food items, and this will be second index array, and second index array is first value I want to know. So if I refresh this, then you can see I am able to access this. So that's how I can access nested array values. So you can do this now. This is a data type. Okay, this particular data type is array. Similar to this, we have another data type that we are going to study, which are object literals. Okay. So if I write here const employee, for example I have an employee and I want to store his details. Okay, so what I can do here, I can create an object, and in place of using these square bracket I can use parenthesis, and here I will define a key and a value pair. What this means, I will define a key which is, let's say, name ID. I will give a colon, so this is key, and the associated value with this key I can give here. So this particular thing here is known as the key, and this is known as the value. So this is my first key value pair. After adding comma, I can add another value. I can say here name, and that name can be let's say John. Okay, so this is another key and then another value associated with it. Now I can add as many key value pairs here inside this object, as many I want. And here I can also give the age as a key pair, and I can add here 23, for example. I can also write here uh, occupation, for example. So here I can write uh, teacher, for example. So that's how I can add a lot of values here. So it's not necessary that I have to write string here. I can also write numerical values. For example, in place of this I can write numerical value. That will also be accepted. So that is the syntax of creating object in JavaScript. Now if I console log employee here like this, if I console log employee here, I refresh this, then you can see I am getting this object. So previously, if I console log food items also, let me just console log food items also. So you can see the prototype that we have here is array. So which means this is an array. And if I click on this, you can see the prototype I have here is object. So this is the difference of data type here. In prototype, you can see that. So the thing that we have defined here is object. This is the syntax. Now for accessing any value, for example, I want to know the name of the employee, right? I want to know the name of the employee. So I can simply write here employee dot name. So here what we were doing, we were using square brackets, and we were accessing the value from here, for example 1 and 1. So here I was using these square brackets to access value from the array. But when it comes to object, we use the dot notation for accessing any value. So employee dot name of the key. So let's try console logging what we get here. So let me refresh this, click on refresh. So you can see I'm getting the value of that particular associated key. I can also console log here employee, the name of the object dot occupation. Okay, it's capital, so it's occupation. So if I click on refresh, so I can target occupation also. Now I can create nested objects just like I have created here nested arrays. So what I can do is I can write const uh, people, for example. This is a people object, and I will create this particular object, and inside this I will write uh, id will be 1, and here the name can be Jane, and I can add here multiple object inside this. For example, I can write here uh, items, for example. Okay, so what all items are associated with it? So here I can add another item. So here I can say item 1 will be pen, item 2 can be eraser, item 3 notebook. So that's how I can add multiple values inside this. Okay, so that's how I can create nested object also. So if I try console logging this nested object, I will write here people. I will save this, go back, click on refresh. So you can see I'm getting a people object inside this, a nested object of items, right? So this is also a object prototype, and this is also an object prototype. Now if I want to access item 3 of this value, so what I can do here is I can simply write here console log people dot items, again dot, and the value. So let's suppose I want to access item 3, so I will write here item 3. So that's how I can access the third item that is present. So now if I go back and I click on refresh, so you can see I'm able to access the notebook. So I hope this part is clear to all of you, how we can create objects similar to array, how we can access their values, and how we can create nested objects also. So that is what written here. So for example, here we have a Fitbit data, right? So in Fitbit data we have total number of steps, key, and the value, then total miles and their value, average calorie burn, workouts this week, and average good sleep. So this is the data that I have for in the object. How I can access this? So there are two methods of accessing this. The first method is writing the value name of the object, and then adding the square bracket, and inside the double quotes I am going to write the key value. So if I do this here also, let's say I want to access the employee name by using this method, so I will have to simply write here console.log employee, and here the name of the key. So if I want to access name, so I can write here name. So you'll see I am able to access using this particular syntax also. Both of them are correct. You can use any of them based on your preference. So better syntax is always this, because we have to write a lot of things here. So this is a better method. So we always use the dot notation. Then all the keys that we have, they are automatically converted to strings. So all of the keys that we are seeing here, these total steps, total miles, average calorie burn, etc., all of them are by default converted to strings when they are keys. So this is very important. Like if we see here also, let me open this. So this is considered as an string in the object. So that's why we are writing it in a string syntax. Now here also I have declared one another constant, which is years. Okay, and I have given some key and value to it. So in 1999 I have associated it with good, and 2020 it is associated with bad. So years 1999 can work, and year 1999 can also work. Okay, because they are like I have by default saved it like this, so I can also use it like this. Now what is the difference between dot and this particular notation? Okay, so we can what is the difference, like when we have to use both of them? So what we can do is we can put an expression in the bracket, for example Fitbit data, total, and miles, right? So let's check the value. So if we write here total and miles, then also we are getting the value 211.7, and here also. So I can uh, add those values. So that's where we are going to use the square bracket. Okay, if I have to create key from two words, so in that case I can use that. And suppose I have this particular thing like years equal to something, and if I say years dot birth here, this will not work. Okay, so birth year, because year is initialized differently than years. It's birth year is not a key here. Key is 1999 and 2020. So here this will not work, dot notation. Here you can use this particular value because this is the key value, that is 1999, so that will work. So that's the difference, like where you can use dot and where you can use the square bracket. So that's very important differentiation. Okay, we can use it here. Now we can also add new key value pairs by using object, the name of the key value, and then I can add the value. Let me show you with one example. Let's take this object employee. Here I have occupation, and I want to add country here also. So what I can do here is I can write employee dot name of my key, which will be country, and I can add here the name value of the key. Okay, now if I try console logging the employee object, let me try console logging the employee object. Let me save it, click on refresh. So you can see now I have also associated the country key and value to the object. So that's how I can add more key value pairs by using this particular syntax. Okay, this particular syntax, I have here added a new key and value pair. Okay, now I can make array of objects also. Now if you want to add more than one people here, for example, so what you can do is you can change this object to an array. Let me create a new one. Okay, so here I can also create array of object by simply specifying const people, and here this is an array, right? People array. So here I have initialized a people array, and inside this I can add objects also. So here I can write id 1, right? Name John. I can add comma and I can add another object here. Okay, with id 2 and name Jane. So that's how I can create add multiple objects in the array, in array. So this is known as, this particular syntax is known as array of objects in JavaScript, and we use it a lot when we are doing like web development and fetching. We do it a lot, we use it a lot. So this is array of objects that we have here. So here also this is specified like a square bracket, then an object, and then more array of objects. So this is very important. So I hope everything in the object literals part is completed and understood by all of you. Let's move further. uh, yeah, so we have completed the object literals part. Now let's move to the loops that we have in JavaScript. Okay, give me a minute. Let's continue then. Okay, so loops in JavaScript. What are loops? When do we have to use it? Why to use it? So let me open a file. Yeah, let me open this particular code file, and I will add a heading here for differentiating. Hello, I am learning loops. Okay, now I will copy the path of this file and I will paste it here. Okay, so this is the file. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to create show you the associated app.js file with it. Okay, so this is the associated app.js file that we have here. Now, now, uh, what is loop basically? So let's say I have an array. Uh, let a is equal to name of the fruits we can take. Let's create a fruits array. It contains name of the fruits, apple. Okay, so we have this array of fruits here. Now what I want to do is I want to print all of them separately, outside the array. Okay, I want to print all of them separately in separate lines, for example. So what I can do here is I can use console log fruits at first index, and I can copy this. I have five values, so I will write it 5 times and I will change the number here. Okay, so here what is happening, I am able to console log here 5 values. Let me refresh this and open the console. So if I go to console, you can see, let me comment something out. Okay, yeah, let me refresh it again. So you can see I have 5 values printed in a separate line, all of the values that I had in the array. Now what I want to do is I want to uh, print 10 numbers, for example, without using any array. So what I can do here is printing 5 numbers, or numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so I can do here console log. I can write here 1, again console logging, similar thing, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's how I am able to print 5 numbers here also. But if you see very clearly, like if I have to write 100 numbers here, it will take me 100 lines of code to write 100 numbers. So to resolve this issue, these kind of issues, what we do, we use loops in JavaScript. Okay, we use loops in JavaScript. So the syntax of using the loop is very common. We write for. This is one of the loops. Okay, we have different types of them. First one is for let I is equal to, it will start from 1 because we want to print numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, so I equal to 1, I is less than equal to 5, I plus plus. Then we write here console dot log I. Okay, so now what will happen, I just only have to write one line of code for console log and it will print all the 5 numbers. Let me comment this out to show it to you guys more clearly. Now if I refresh this, you can see I am able to print values from here because this is commented. Let me just also comment this and try printing fruits array here. So what I can do here is I can write for let, again I equal to, will start from 0 because array index starts from 0. I will write semicolon, I is less than equal to less than, how many numbers I have here, I have 5, so I can say I is less than 5 and I will say here I plus plus. Now I will open the parenthesis and I will simply console log here fruits and the index I. Now I don't have to write it 5 times, I can simply print it for 5 times. Now I am getting it 5 times. So that's the significance of loops in JavaScript. So here also numbers from 1 to 10 are also printed. If I have to print 100 numbers, I can simply change it from 5 to 100, go back, click on refresh. So you can see now I am able to print 100 numbers in the console. It's that simple now. Now let's suppose I want to print even numbers. So what I can do is I can simply write here I into 2. Okay, I into 2. And here I will change it back to let's say 5. Suppose I want to print even numbers up to 5 only. So here only my even numbers will be printed. I can also change it to 5 so that multiples of 5 will be printed only. So that's how I can use the leverage the power of loops in JavaScript. Now here also I can print animals array that I had showed you earlier. Now yeah, another type of loop that we have, loops type 2, that we have here is the while loops in JavaScript. Okay, so how we use the while loop? So let's suppose I have here const password is equal to 1234, for example. Okay, now I want to run a loop. Here I will write here while password. Okay, or let's say mm, what we can, let me check it once. Okay, okay, so now what I will do is I will create a prompt here named guess password. Okay, and guess password, and here I will write a prompt that will ask me to enter a password. Okay, now what I will do is I will use a while loop here, and I will say while guessed password is not equal to password. So here what will happen, up till this, what is this, this is a condition, this will return either true or false. If guessed password that I have taken from the prompt is not equal to password, up till then this loop will continue. So while this particular condition is true, this loop will continue working. So here what I can take, up till when guess password is not equal to password, I can take the guess password value in prompt again and again. Okay, okay, so now here what I have done is I have taken a password up till when the guess password value is not equal to password. I will continue taking the prompt from the user. So let me go back, click on refresh. So you can see I'm getting a prompt saying enter a password. So if I write here 1, okay, and I click on okay, so here I'm getting enter another password, this is not correct. Let me write 2 here. Okay, so now this will not work. Okay, so let me make it like this. Okay, so this will continue working accordingly. Okay, now let's just move a little bit further from the type 3. So we can also use the for, and yeah, we can also initialize for loop by using this particular method. Let me just go back, yeah, paste it here. So now here it will be for example, let x of some value subreddits. Okay, let me show you. I have this particular subreddits array. Let me copy this. Okay, and paste it here. Okay, so now I can also use all the values here. Visit subreddit.com slash, this particular link will be created by using these particular values in the array. Let x of subreddits. So here if I go back and I click on refresh, let me just comment this out. Let me refresh this again. So you can see now I am able to create different sublinks by using the this particular type of syntax. So this is also another method of writing the loops. So we have for loop, while loop, for off loop, and for in loop. So we can use all of them. Now The next thing is what we are going to do here is we are going to create a to-do list here by using JavaScript. Okay, so let me open this particular code file. Let me paste it here. So now what this is going to do is this is going to create a list of tasks. Okay, so now here this page is prompted in saying what would you like to do. So I want to uh, add a new task, for example. Okay, so after this page will ask enter a new task. So I can add a task here, eating, and I can click on OK. Now again my page will ask what would you like to do. So here I can say list the task, or again add a new task. If I click on OK, I can write here a new task of sleeping, and I click on OK. Again it will ask what would you like to do. So I want to list the task that I have here, and I click on OK. So now if I click on quit, then this prompt will not no longer ask me anything. And if I go to console, then you can see I am able to console log all the things that I was doing. So I was adding eating to the list, sleeping to the list, and when I said I want to list the items, then it is also listed the items here. Okay, and if I am saying quitting, so it's also displaying okay, quitting the app. So we have to create a to-do list similar to this. Okay, now let me show you the code for this. You guys can take a minute or two to think how we are going to develop this to-do list app by using JavaScript only, and how we can add all these things, like how we can add a new task to the list, how we can list all the tasks, delete or quit. So can you guys make some think of how we are going to do all of this? I'll give you a minute to think about it, and then we'll go to the solution part. A minute or two. Okay. Okay. Uh, have you guys think about it? How we can do this? Okay, so let's try building that. So here is a simple HTML page which is displaying the four options to us. The first one is listing the task, or adding a new task, listing all the tasks, deleting by using an unordered list, which is displayed here also. Let me show it to you. This is displayed here also, like creating a new task, listing the task, deleting and quitting the app, right? So here, if I go back, so this is how you can create a simple HTML page. And now we'll connect it to a script of JavaScript file, and then we'll write our to-do list code here. Now if you see this page, what I have done here is I have created an empty task array. You can also create this empty task array, and then I have added a line which says let a query to take a prompt. Okay, so we are saving the value of query in the prompt. What would you like to do? So inside the query, for example, if I write new, right, so that will be saved in the query. Now I will start a while loop which will say if the value of query that we are taking from the prompt is not equal to quit. Okay, if the value that we are taking from the prompt is not equal to quit, then we don't have to quit the prompt rendering continuously. And if the query value is not equal to q, so the user can enter either the quit value or q. So if user enters either quit or queue, we will move out of the while loop, we'll not continue, and we'll move out and we will console log okay quitting the app. But if the user does not enter the value of quit, or some it or user enters something else, then we'll move inside the while loop. So if I close everything, let me close everything. So if you see here, now what I have done here is I have added another condition inside while loop which says if query value is equal to new. So if it's not quit, then query value can either be new, list, delete, or quit. So now if query value is equal to new, then I can say task, I can create another variable, and I can take a prompt here, enter a new task. Okay, so now that will take a prompt here, enter a new task, and it will push that particular task that we have here in the tasks array right here. So if I had written eating here, then that particular eating task will be added in the task list. Now if I console log here, then that particular task added to the list message will be displayed to me. So if user has entered the query value as new. So if we go back to our code and I click on inspect here, go to the console, and I refresh everything here, so I am prompted what would you like to do. So this particular prompt I am being asked. So if I add here the query value of new, okay, and I click on okay, so now since the value of query is new here, so I am getting another prompt saying enter a new task. So here I am getting this particular prompt, enter a new task. So if I add here eating and I click on OK, so you can see I am getting console log eating added to the list. This particular console log is being added to the list. Okay, this particular console log is being printed here. Now again this from this particular while loop, I am being asked what would I like to do from this particular query, what would I like to do. Now if I add here quit, okay, and I click on okay, so this while loop will end and I will move out and this particular console log will be printed. Okay, now I can again click on refresh and start this to-do list task again. Now, if I add here list, right? So if I say here the query should be list. It's not quit, it's not new, but it's list. So here I will be getting a list type of item. So this is the starting of the list, ending of the list. Since I have not added anything here, so I am getting empty right now. So I will add a new task, so I will say studying, for example. I have added that studying and I will click on ok. So this will say studying is added to the list. Now if I want to list the task, I will click on okay. So you can see here I have added studying to the list of tasks here. So if I want to add another task, I will write here new and I will say sleeping. So if I click on ok and I again go to list the task, then I will be able to list these tasks. Now suppose I want to delete a particular task. So in that case I have created else if the query value is equal to delete, then this particular code will run. Now if the value of delete is there, so I will simply go to parse int and take the value and take the task of what I want to delete. So if I want to delete the sleeping as a task, it will take that particular task and then search that task in the tasks list. Okay, so wherever it will find that, it is going to splice that particular task from there or remove it from there. So now only one value is to be deleted, that's why we have specified one here. So now if I want to delete sleeping, so I will write here sleeping and I will click on ok. Let me write the number also. Enter the task you want to delete. Let me write the first task that we have here. Okay, so now since it's taking a particular number, so I am going to delete that particular task. So it will search that particular task value and it will delete that particular task from there. Okay, so I hope this part is clear to all of you. Let me just click on quit. So this will quit the app. You can also try building an app similar to this, and if query is not in between any of them, so we can give an alert saying I didn't understand that, please enter a valid query. So if I write here anything, any random thing, then it will say I didn't understand that, please enter a valid query. Okay, so now I will write here quit and this will quit the app. So you can also create a to-do list app similar to this. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Now we have variables in JavaScript. So yeah, so we have different types of data in JavaScript. So we are writing up till now numbers, we are writing strings. Boolean means true and false values. Okay, true and false values, they are called Boolean. We can use them also. We can also define null or zero. Undefined, all the values that cannot be defined, for example 0 by 0 or infinity values. Then we have symbol and the big int. All of these values can be used inside the primitive types of JavaScript. So JavaScript, in number type we can add positive number, negative number, whole number, decimal numbers. All of them are accepted. We can for writing exponentiation we use these two stars and we can create an exponent of a number. So if something is not a number, then we'll be getting nan. Okay, now that means like 001 we will get nan, which means not a number. We can also check the type of any number by using this type of function. Now variables, so there are two types of variables that we use here. One is the const and the another one is the var. Var is old way, so we use let now. Okay, now the constant variables we cannot change it in the later of on in our code. So suppose you want to initialize a variable, then you cannot change it in later part of your code. But when you are using var, you can change it at later point in the code. So that's the description of variables. I'll give you a minute to take the screenshot and then we'll continue further. Okay. So you can take the screenshot of this. Now, the another type that we have here is the strings data type in JavaScript. So, what are strings? Anything that we are going to write in the double quotes. For example, here I have written this particular value. This is string. So, string also contain indexing. For example, if I have this particular value, then they will be having indexes. For example, J will have index 0, O will be saved at index 1, H will be at 2, and N will be at 3. So if I write it like this, let me show it to you. So suppose I have this particular string, then if I say the value of J is saved at 0 index, O is saved at first index, H is saved at second index, and N is saved at third index. So if I want to access N from here, right, so I have to write the name of the string and then the index. So let me open a code file here. Yeah, so let me do it here only. Let If I go to inspect and I go to console, okay, now if I write here str string let a is equal to or let's str for string, I will say here John. Okay, I will click shift and enter, and then I will say console log str and 3. Okay, let me click on enter and let me click on enter. So now if you see, if I console log str the name of the string and the third value 0 1 2 3, then I am getting n here. So what this means is string is stored as indexed array of characters. So string can also be as an array of array of characters. So this is what indexing is for with respect to strings. Now strings also have some inbuilt properties. For example, if I have this particular string, what is meant by index in like inbuilt properties, I am telling you that. So let's suppose I have this particular string. Let me write in caps only, and if I say console log me the length of the string, okay, so I can write here str dot length. Okay, and let me click on this. Okay, so this is not a function, so I have to remove this. Let me write it again, and I will remove this from here, and I will click on enter. Now you can see the length of the string here, it's 4, so I'm getting the 4. So this is some inbuilt method that we have for string. Now I can also use str0. Okay, I can concatenate two strings. For example, I can simply say console.log. I have first string as hello, and I can say plus by. So these are two separate strings. Now I am joining both of them, and if I click on this, you can see both of these strings are joined. I can also use space in between them. I can write console.log hello plus space plus by. Now if I write it like this, then all of these three strings will be concatenated. So we can do concatenation. We cannot update one character at a time, and we assign the variable. Now for example, if I write here console log 1, and then with 1 I add here hello. Okay, so now we will not be able to add these things. One will be considered as a string and both of them will be concatenated. Some, we also have some built-in methods, like we can use search, replace, we can change it to upper and lower. For example, I have a string here, let str equal to, okay, now I want to change this to uppercase. So what I can do, str dot to uppercase, they might be having it here, to uppercase. Okay, then I will add a predefined method option, and if I click on this, you can see I have changed it to uppercase. I can also change it to lowercase also. If I write here str equal to James and I say str dot to lowercase, so I can do that also. Click on enter, all of this will be converted to lowercase. We also have trim method. It removes white spaces from beginning and end. So suppose I am writing a text here, I can also define a text. So if I write here str hello, welcome to string lecture, for example, I have written it here, and if I use here str dot trim, then this will remove the spaces. Let me check it once. Okay, okay, it will remove from beginning and end. So let me just copy and paste it here. Now if I add here some space and some space here also, and if I write here trim, so it will trim all the spaces that I had here in the beginning and the end. So trim will remove all these spaces. I can also use index of, so it will remove the first occurrence, that is everything that is present there, it will remove it. Then I have slice, I can replace, and I can repeat the string 10 times. Okay, so that's also a really good use case. So if I write here str let str equal to John, and if I say str dot repeat it to be 20 times, for example, and if I click on enter, so you can see it's now repeated 20 times. So we can also do that. We can also use template literals here, like if I want to add two numbers, so I can say str console dot log, I can say here I have, and then I can add here a dollar symbol, and I can do calculations here. For example, 3 plus 4 notebooks today. Okay, and if I close this here, click on enter, so you can see it's now doing mathematical calculations also. So we can do, write it like this also. Okay, so let's suppose I have a number, let number is equal to 30, and I say let a string is equal to hey. Okay, and I try console logging this, so I can say console dot log string, or let me remove this here, I can say hey I am reading number, and then I will add a dollar symbol here, and I can write the name of the variable, which is number here. Okay, and I will close this, click on enter, so you can see I am able to read the number here also. I am reading number 30. So we can write it like this also. Then null is the absence of any value, and we can also use mat.object here. Okay, mat.py, round, abs, we can also use all of them. So mat.random, I've already told you, it generates random numbers, and mat.floor, it is also used a lot of times. Now to convert a number to convert a string to a number, we use parseInt. So for example, I have a number, let s is equal to 100, and if I console log s here, then yeah, give me a minute. Okay, okay, it's wrong, spelling is wrong. Let me write here console log And if I click on enter, you see it's 100 right now. So what I can do is I can use parseInt, and this will change my string to a number. So here let's take s equal to 100, and let number is equal to 100, and I console log the sum of them, s plus number. So we'll be getting in this case 100 because one is string, other is number, so both will be treated as string and they will be added. Now if I use parseInt here for string, I will use here parseInt, and I will wrap this string here. And now if I click on enter, then you can see my string has been changed to a number, and I can add both of these values. So this is how we can use parseInt. So I hope this part is clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Then otherwise we'll continue further. I'll give you a minute to take the screenshot of this notes, and then we can continue with the Boolean logic part. Okay, so now let's continue further. Now we are moving to the Boolean logic part. So now here we have a lot of logics that we can use. For example, less than, greater than. We have studied all of these. We use strict inequality and not strict inequality. What is the difference between double equal to and triple equal to? We can also study that. So let me show it to you once. Yeah. So I can use here console dot clear. Okay, and that should clear the console. Okay, now let's suppose I want to console log the comparison 1 less than 2. So this will return me boolean value. If I click on enter, you can see this is true because 1 is less than 2. So that's how I can use greater than, less than, equal to, and double equal to. Okay, if I write here console dot log 1 equal 1. Okay, so this will also come out to be true. Now what if I write console log comparison of 1 to a string value, right? If I compare this, this will also be true, but in reality 1 here is string and this particular one is an integer, which both are different. So why it's coming? Because this particular double equal to is not a strict equality operator, so that's why it's coming to be true. Now if I say console log 1 and triple equal to 1, in that case this will be false. So it's very important to differentiate both the normal inequality and strict inequality that we have. So triple equal to will check the type differences. One is the integer, other is the string, so it will work accordingly. And this particular will not look into the type differences that we have here. So that's very important. So we should always use triple equality to check. Okay, we can use console.clear, console.time, console.warn, and everything. Okay, for using alert and prompt, we have already studied about that. So with this we complete the basic part of JavaScript now. And let me just go back. Okay, so if I let me just open the another intermediate part file. Okay, now we are going to study about the more higher advanced concepts that we have in JavaScript, which is which some of them are functions, leveling up functions, array methods, and higher order functions. So what are functions in JavaScript? Let me open a file for this. So here I am, this is an HTML boilerplate code. Here I am going to write h1. Okay, and here I will write hello, I am learning about functions. Okay, I will copy this path of this particular file, go back and paste this in the browser. So here it is, I am learning about functions. I will click on inspect and I will go to the console. I will open the console of this particular file. So here also I have connected the script with app.js part only. Now the associated app.js file is here. I will copy everything and close here. So right now I have nothing in the app.js file. Now let's suppose I have a how we can explain this. Yeah, so let's suppose I have a number. Okay, let a is equal to 1. Okay, and let b is equal to 10. Okay, now const add is equal to a plus b. So what I have done here is I have taken two numbers a and b and I have added to those two numbers, and now I will console log add. If I click on save and I go back, click on refresh, so you can see I'm getting the sum respectively. Right now what I want to do is I want to again add some different numbers. For example, let c equal to 22 and let d is equal to 24, and now I want to let's say add these two numbers differently. So what I can do here is I can write here const add 2. Okay, and I can add here c and d, and then I can console log add 2 here. Okay, now if I click on save, go back, click on refresh, so you can see I'm getting 46 also. But if you see very clearly, if I have to add let's suppose 100 numbers here, or pair by pair I have to add, for example enf also, gnh also, and everything, then this will make our code a very much bigger, right? We have to write a lot of lines of code, so it's not a very efficient practice that we are doing here. So what we are going to do is we are going to remove this. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah, so now in place of this, what we can do is we can create functions. So if I write here a function, this is the syntax. I have to write here function and I can give it add. Okay, now I can add two parameters, parenthesis. This is the syntax of writing a function. Now I can simply write here console dot log 1 plus 2. For example, here I have written this, and if I write here add, this is the method of calling the function. Now if I save this, go back, click on refresh, so you can see I am able to print the sum of these numbers. Now I can call this add function multiple times in my code. I don't have to write this again and again. I can simply call these particular functions. So now this will be printed 4 times. Now let's suppose all the time I don't want to print the sum of these two numbers only, I want to print multiple sum. So what I can do, I can pass here parameters, for example a and b. Okay, now I can pass here a and write here b, and here I have to pass parameters, for example 1 and 2, Here I will add 3 and 4. Here I will add 5 and 6, and here I will add 7 and 8. Now if I go back and I click on refresh, so you can see now I am able to modify this function according to parameters that I have passed. So I can do that also. I can also create a multiply function. Okay, so what it will do, it will take the starting number. Okay, it will take the starting number and will multiply those values till end. So for example, I want to multiply all the numbers between 1 and 10. I want to multiply all the numbers. So what I can do here is I can pass here multiply 1 to 10 numbers, and then I can add here a loop for let I is equals to a, I is less than equal to b, I plus plus. Okay, and here I can say let me write here const multiply, let multiply. Okay, let's remove that. Let me write console log only. So here I can write console log a into I into I. So now what it will do, it will multiply the numbers by itself only for 10 numbers. Let me go back and click on refresh. So now you can see for all the numbers we are getting the multiplications with themselves. So I can do this multiple times. I don't have to write for loop again multiple times. I can do it for 20 to 30 numbers also. 20 to 30. Okay, and if I go back, click on refresh, so now I am able to get the multiplication of these numbers also. So that's why functions makes our code very easier, right? We don't have to write this particular line of code again and again for doing something. So that's the significance of using functions. Now we have scope of the function. Okay, so what is scope? Everything that we are writing inside the parenthesis is the scope of the function. So if I have lexical scope, for example, so I have I am using heroes in the in the starting function, and inside this I have created another function. So I can create nested functions also. So inside this particular function I can use heroes array. Okay, I will not have any issue. So this is called lexical scope. So a child nested function has access to the variables defined in the parent function. So that's why I am able to use heroes inside this particular function also. This is known as lexical scope. Now I can also treat function as a value. For example, if I have here, now if I have here let add is equal to, I can add a function here and I will write here x comma y. Okay, and here opening the parenthesis, and I will say return x plus y. So what this return will do, it will return the result of this particular expression. Okay, so if I now console log a here, so let me check what we are getting. A is not defined, let add. Okay, add. Let me go back, click on refresh. So now you can see I'm getting the returned value of x and y. So that's how we can use the function expressions as a value also, right? So now let's just go move further. Yeah, so functions, they are basically values in JavaScript. We can store it, pass it around, etc. So that's how we use this particular type of functions. Now next we have some higher order functions. So there are a lot of times when we can pass one function inside another function. Okay, so now if I have a particular function, for example, called twice, in this, in the parameter, in place of passing number, I have passed function here. So here I have passed one function which is roll die, for example. So I have passed it here in this particular function, and I can call this particular function two times. Okay, so call twice is one function and roll die is another function. So wherever you are passing it like this particular function will be called a higher order function. Okay, so now this is called higher order function. Then methods is not that important, I think. Yeah, so I don't think it's that much required here. Now, one another important thing that we use in JavaScript is the try and catch block. Okay, so wherever inside the function we are writing something, for example, try console logging message to uppercase and repeat it 3 times. Okay, and if you catch any error, you write the try block, and if inside the try block you are not able to execute something, it will automatically go to the catch block, and you will be printing please pass the string next time. Okay, so this is how we can use this particular yell function. Okay, by passing a message. So this is the significance of try catch block, and it's very much similar to if else statement. So you can also use this. Now we have some methods of array here which we can use for printing different values of the array. So they are also called callback functions. Okay, and we are also called callback functions. So for example, we have for each. Let me open a code file here. Let me paste it here, and let me open the console. So right now, since the associated code file is here, let me close the functions part. Now, if you see, I have an array with which is having numbers from 1 to 20. Okay, so if I want to print these numbers, okay, so I can simply write print console.log and then printing these numbers, right? So now, in place of this, what I can do, I can use for each. Okay, so what this for each will do? Uh, Let me comment this out. Okay, so if I am writing here for each print, okay, and then I have created this particular function print. So what this function print will do, it will take the parameter and it will console log this. Now if I write here for each, then it will print the number. So if I go back and I click on refresh, so you can see for each of the numbers I am able to print all the 20 numbers here by using this particular function. So it's for arrays only, we cannot use it for any other numbers. Now we can also do calculation here. For example, numbers dot for each function, I can also pass function inside this. What it will do, it will divide the element. It will check if it's an even number, and it will return the element. So we can also use this. If I click on refresh, so you can see now I am only getting the even numbers here, because if this particular condition is true, then only I have to console log. So I can also use this for each. Now third is I have a movies array of object. In this I have title and score of the movies. So I have 4 movies listed as objects here in this particular movies array. So now if I want to uh, print the movie title and the score, so what I can do, I can use for each for that. So here it's movies, name of the array, movies, for each function, for each method, and then inside I have declared a function. I can also declare it outside, but for now I have declared it inside the for each method. So I can use function and the name of the movie, then console log movie dot title. Okay, so all the title of the movie will be printed, and movie score, this will be printed for each of the values of array that I have here. So let me go back, click on refresh. So you can see now for all the 4 values this has been printed. Okay, out of 100. Now in place of for each, I can also use map functions. So these are another type of callback methods that we have for array. So let's suppose I have an array of text. Okay, so it contains 4 texts. Okay, ROFL, LOL, OMG, and TTYL. So these are the 4 texts that I have. Now I want to map these values to a particular function. So here I have this as uppercase. So this will store all the uppercase characters for this text. So I will map these text to a function, and this will change all of these values to uppercase. So if you go back and I click on refresh, give me a minute. Yeah, let me just console log ups here. Okay, so if I click on refresh, so you can see all of these values have converted to uppercase. So that's how we can use maps also for this. Now here it's doubles. Okay, so here in numbers I have mapped it with a function which will multiply all the numbers by 2. Now if I try console logging the doubles here, if I go back, click on refresh, so you can see for all the 20 numbers this has been multiplied by 2. Okay, for all of these numbers, see, it has been multiplied by 2. Now we have a titles array. I am creating a titles array in which I am mapping only movie dot title, and that also in uppercase, right? So I can also do that. So if I write here console log and I write here movie sorry titles, then I will get all the titles of the movie array as uppercase. So that's the significance of using map. We can also use in place of functions some arrow functions. So I can write here const add then equal to and the arrow functions. So this is generally used nowadays in place of normal function declaration. So you might be getting this in at a lot of places wherever you will see the code. So this is also a type of function. So there, this is another syntax of writing a function. So here for example I have written a const roll die and then mat dot roll die, mat dot floor and random. So this will give me random numbers for rolling a die. I have also created here some function that will do the same thing. Now for movies, uh yeah, we can use map also for generating movie score and title. So let me just open this. Okay, so here what it is doing, it is taking the movie dot score and then divide by 10. So if I write here console dot log new movies, so I will be able to print this particular array here. So let me go back, click on refresh, so you can see I am getting the rating of these movies by score divide by 10, right? Score is divided because score is divided by 10 here, so I am getting that here. If I comment out this and I again try doing this, so this will also give me the same value. So both of these syntax are similar. I can also use arrow functions also, and I can use function also. So I hope this callback methods is clear to all of you. Let me yeah, so if you want you guys can take the screenshot and then we'll continue further. Okay, now we have two another functions here, the set timeout function and the set interval function. So both of these functions are asynchronous in nature. What asynchronous means, let me just show it to you. Let me comment this out. Okay, and let me open this particular file. I will write here h1 and I will write here learning about. Let me zoom it a little bit. Learning about set timeout and set interval, and I will open this particular code file. Okay, let me go to inspect and open the console. Now I will open the associated code file of app.js here. So now nothing is written here. So now if I try console logging hello, let's see if I am able to do that. Yeah, so this is working. Now if I add here a function, this is the syntax of adding set timeout. So by using the set timeout function, what I can do is I can print a number after some designated amount of time. So say set timeout, then console log, are you still there, after a duration of 3 seconds. This is 3000 milliseconds, so this means 3 seconds. So after a duration of 3 seconds, I will be able to console log, are you still there. Okay, now let me refresh this, and it will take some time of around 3 seconds, and then it will print, are you still there. So what this means, I have set a delay of time of around 3 seconds and I am able to print it. Now after this, if I write console log goodbye, and if I go back, click on refresh, so you can see hello is printed, goodbye is also printed, and after 3 seconds I am getting, are you still there. So there is one important thing to be noted, that if some function is taking some amount of time, for example, this set timeout function is taking 3 seconds of time, and this console log goodbye is after this particular line. So this will run first, because our browsers are in by nature asynchronous in nature. So what this means is, if any particular task is taking a certain amount of time, then it will be stored in the callback value, and another set of tasks will continue running. So you will get hello, and immediately after this particular message. So set timeout is asynchronous in nature. So I hope this part is clear to you all. And now if I want to print some value at an interval of some time, for example, I want to print random numbers at an interval of zero point 0.5 milliseconds. Let me make it 1 second. Now if I go back and I click on refresh, so you can see I am getting these random numbers after 3 seconds, getting this particular value, and then these random numbers are being generated after a duration of 1 second. So that's how I can use set interval function also. And if I want to clear this particular interval, what I can do, I can use clear interval and the timer id. So in that case, this will clear and stop the value completely. So this is used for setting the interval, and for stopping that particular interval we use clear interval. Now another type that we have here is the filter. Okay, so now suppose I have numbers from 1 to 20, and I want to filter all the numbers that are less than 10. So what I can do here is I can use numbers dot filter, write a parameter n, and return all the numbers of n less than 10. So now uh, all the numbers less than 10 will be filtered out and they will be printed. Okay, let me console log numbers. Okay, so I'm right now getting all the numbers from 1 to 20. Now what I am going to do is I am going to save this particular value somewhere. For example, const mm, filtered numbers, for example, filtered numbers. Okay, and I will write here also filtered numbers. We'll go back, click on refresh. So now I'll be only be getting only those numbers which are less than 10 here for the filtered numbers. Let me just close all of this, all the numbers less than 10. So now let's suppose I have this particular movies array. Okay, so they contain some lots of movies. So we have the name, title of the movie, we have the score of the movie, and we have the year of the release of this particular movie. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to check the title, score, and the year of the movie. Now if I add here a filter, for example, filter all the good movies that we have. So good movies will be all the movies that have a score of greater than 80. Okay, so I am going to save that in a new array. So here it's a good movies, and I have added filter to these movies to filter all the movies which are greater than 80. So let me go back and click on refresh. Let me console log also these good movies, console log good good movies. Okay, let me go back, click on refresh. So now all the movies that have a score greater than 80 are only printed here. So there are only 4 movies here, okay, which are good. So I can also increase the score from here, so that for example I can make it 90. So only those movies that have a score greater than 90 will be filtered here. So if I now say all the good titles, so I can also use that. So map the good movies with the good titles, and if I console log here, this is using map. So if I console log good titles, so I have mapped all the movie titles here. So now all the good movie title are being displayed here, right? So I can combine, in place of writing it in two lines, I can combine these two by using dot notation. So what I can write here, const good movie title is equal to movies dot filter, and then giving the description that all the movie such that the movie dot score should be greater than 90. Okay, then when this will happen, I can use dot notation to add another method. So this will be map all the titles such that I will only get the m dot title. Okay, so if I go back, click on refresh, so I have combined these two and I am able to get these good movie titles. Let me console log this also, console log good movie title. So now I'll be able to console log these. So that's how I can combine more than one method by using JavaScript. I can also filter bad movies, I can also filter recent movies based on year. All of these can be done by using the filter method in JavaScript. So I hope this part is clear to all of you. Now next we have sum and every. Okay, so suppose you have an array of exams which contains these numbers. Okay, now what the sum will do, it will check if we have sum such that score is less than 75 and we have every also such that score is greater than equal to 75. So let me just comment sum for now, and let me console log this particular value. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, and let me paste it here. uh, yeah, let me go back and open this particular code file, associated code file. Okay, inspect, go to console, and yeah, sum and every. So now what we are going to do is we are going to check if we have, let's check for some ones. Okay, so bool answer. Okay, so this will store the particular let answer is equal to this. So this particular value, whatever it will give, will be is stored in the answer right now. So if I console log answer here, answer. Okay, let me go back, click on refresh. So you can see I'm getting false here. So what this means is, if I am using sum, so for some of the values, the score should be less than 75. But if you see very clearly, there is no score here which is less than 75. So sum means if in the array there is any number whose score is less than 75, then it will return true. For example, in place of 78, I make it 73, and I go back and click on refresh. So in that case, I will get true. So this will work for some of the values of the array. Now if I change it to every, okay, and I click on refresh, so you can see it's coming false, because every should work for all the numbers, not for one. So that's the difference between sum and every. Now we can see this for movies also. So if there is every movie which has which has a year releasing date greater than 1950, then this will come out to be true. So if I say let movie answer is equal to movie, such that every movie should have year of releasing greater than 1950, and if I console log this movie answer, then I should get true. So I'm getting true here because there is no movie here in the list which has a releasing date of less than 1950. So I'm getting true here. So that's how I can use sum and every also. Now we have reduce and this functions of the array. So here if we see here, I have an array of prices, right? And if I want to create a sum, okay, so what I can do, I can use prices and reduce this to be total price, total and the price. So I can total these values by using the reduce function. Okay, I can also find the minimum price. You can work this out. There are a lot of methods that we have now. And suppose I have this particular movie title, okay, so I can reduce these movies array to be to have a score of like movie like particular movie score that we are going to give, and then we can return that particular movie. So we can use reduce also. So this will it will work just like filter, and it will reduce based on what we are going to give it the parameter. So we can use this. Now arrow functions and this. So now if for example I have a first name and last name, now I want to create a full name by using this first name and last name inside this object only. So what I can do here is I can use this particular function, and inside this I will return first name and last name. There is one important thing that which is to be noted here is the use of this keyword. So if you are using a value which is present inside object only, and it's present there only, and you want to use it, so what you can do for targeting that, you can use this. So this dot first name means that the value of this particular first name will be targeted, and you will be able to use that. And you can use this dot last name for targeting this particular value only. So that's where you are using going to use the this value for using it inside your own object only, because here since it's not yet initialized, so you cannot use here person dot first name. Okay, so this will throw an error that person is not defined right now. So that's why you are going to use this in that case. Okay, so that's how you can use a value before initializing it. Now full name is a window object. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, we can also create these particular set timeout functions also inside this object. Like inside this object also I can create functions. There will not be any issue for that. So I hope this part is clear to all of you. Okay, this part is also clear. So some advanced concepts regarding JavaScript are completed now, and there are some more of the things that are left. Let's quickly go through them. Let me open them. Okay. Okay, now if you guys know that JavaScript is a single threaded language. Okay, so what single threaded means, that it can only run one line of code at a time. Okay, so it will not move further. So if something, which what this means is, if something takes 5 seconds to happen, does that mean we have to pause our code for 5 seconds? No, because even though JavaScript is single threaded language, our browsers are asynchronous, because our browsers are generally written in C++. So they C++ is asynchronous in nature. So JavaScript hands the task to the browser, and our browsers use it accordingly. So now if something is taking 5 seconds, it will be saved in the call stack, and when all other tasks will be completed, then that particular task will be implemented. That is what we were seeing right now in the set timeout and set interval functions. Now JavaScript call stack, it recognizes the web APIs and passes them to the browser. So this is how our functioning of JavaScript and the web browser works. If we go to script.js, okay, yeah, so here what is happening, I have a multiply function and I have a square function, and then I'm calling this particular is right triangle function. Now sending request to the server, and this is taking 3 seconds, and I am at the end of the file. So you will be able to print this, I am at the end of the file first, and then after 3 seconds this will be printed, because of the asynchronous nature of the web browsers that we have right now. Now callback hell is something different. uh, yeah, so callback hell means, if let's suppose you are writing set timeout, so we have to be very careful with the delays that we are specifying. For example, for the first set timeout, if we have written 1 second, then for the second set timeout we have to write it 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and so on. So this particular thing is known as the callback hell that we have right now. Okay, so here if we see, if we are writing this particular set timeout function, for example, yeah, this particular set timeout function, that it will change the background color to red. Okay, what is this document, which is our HTML document, it is targeting the body of HTML document and changing the style, and which style, the background color to red. Now if we see the set timeout, so after 1 second this will be done, after 1 second yellow, but here what is being done, it's only written 1 second, so everything will work at once, so we'll not be able to see the change. Okay, so let me just comment this out. Okay, let me open the associated file with it, paste it here, and see here what is being happening. I am able to, after 1 second I am able to change this particular color, and it will end at blue. Okay, let me refresh this, so you can also again see red, orange, yellow, and green. Now I can, in place of writing it like this, what I can do is I can write a set timeout, and then write here do next, and then specify those particular values here. So that's how it is not very necessary and very not very practiced method, but if you want you can do this. Okay, so that's how you target any particular style present on the HTML document and change it accordingly. So if you guys want, you can take a screenshot of this. Oh, and one more important thing, it's nested set timeout. So first this will work, then inside one, then inside, and then the most inside one. So that's why it's working in a sequential manner. Now, one another important thing that we have here is fake requests and the promise. So promises are object that they represent eventual completion and failure of an operation. Okay, so whatever operation you are doing, for example, you are making a request. Okay, so it can either be a success or a failure. Okay, so common pattern of the request. So suppose you are making a request to the backend, so it can be either success or it can fail. Okay, so this is known as callback hell. So now what we can do for this particular thing, so that we can divide it in different phases, we can use promises. So I have given one example. So imagine you are a child and you want to eat candy. So if you eat all your vegetables, then you will get candy. So this is hopeful resolution, like of a promise. So that's how promises work. You give steps to a request and then eventually it will fail. Okay, so we don't need to pass that in the callback. And for passing this, we use dot then operator. So it simply means dividing your final conclusion in some simple steps. Okay, and then check if it was rejected and then why it was rejected. Okay, so it's a very good practice of writing requests and responses. So if I open this, uh yeah. Okay, so let's suppose I am creating here a fake request. Okay, it's not right now working, but I am sending a URL to the backend, and here it's taking a delay of 4 seconds. Okay, so if delay, I am taking a mat.random function and it's calculating the delay. So, and I have passed that delay in the set timeout function. So if delay is greater than 4000, then our API will fail and it will say connection timeout. Else, here is your fake data, okay, from particular URL. Now I have made a promise here. What it will do, it will check the URL, okay, and it will return a new promise to us. This will be either to resolve that the error or reject that particular error that we have got. So uh, I have written here set timeout. If delay is greater than 4 seconds, then we have to reject the timeout. Else, we can resolve it. So, this is the two different methods of doing that. It's straightforwardly, it's doing what? It's giving us a failure of connection timeout. And here, in this particular thing, we are returning a promise of resolving or rejecting. So, this is the better approach of using or creating po- requests to the backend. Okay, another import let me show you one another example of promises for explaining more clearly how this works. So now let's take this particular example. So I have a delayed color change function. Okay, and I have passed here color and the delay, two parameters, and inside this I have passed a promise. So what it will do, it will create set timeout for this particular delay that we have specified here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to call this particular function delayed color change, and I am going to pass the first value red for, and show red color for 1 second. Now what I'm going to do is then after 1 seconds what will happen, I can specify that using promises. So I will say dot then delay the color change for orange for 1 second. Now I will get orange color. So I have specified here promises that after completion of this particular first step, after completion of this particular first step, what should you do? So that will do this for multiple times, as many times as we specify here. And then I can console log this isn't supposed to happen. So how it has reached here, so it will catch an error if any of these tasks are not being completed. So it will reach to the catch block and this will give us an error. So that's how we can divide our request into different stages by using promises. So let me show it to you also. This is where our promises are working. So let me open this. So here you can see color is being changed for these many designated amount of times. Okay, so this is how we can do this. Now yeah, we we have the next thing, which is async and await functions. So async and await functions are used for writing, since I've already told you that JavaScript is not asynchronous, it's a single threaded language. So for making it asynchronous, we use async and awaits. So async always returns us a promise. So wherever you are writing an async function, it will return a promise to you. So async and await are used together only. Let me show you to an example of code. Okay, so yeah, so suppose I have this particular login function and I have written here async. So it's taking two parameter, username and password. So if there is no username and password, then I have written throw and missing credentials, which means that it's returning a promise to us. We will throw that particular promise, and if password is something like this, then we return something. So that's how we use async function. And for delayed color change, yeah, so here this is rainbow, and for this particular async function we are awaiting the response. So this will work very properly with asynchronous functions. So if this particular thing is taking a little bit of time, then it will move further. So it will instantly turn to orange, and now it will wait for the first promise to be resolved, and then we'll continue further. So that's why async and await functions need to be used for making your all functions is asynchronous in nature. Then we have the error handling part. So that too I have already told you, that if you are writing adding these particular steps in reject and the resolve parameters, then you will be able to handle those particular errors respectively. Okay, so and also we use try catch block for catching the errors like this. So if you have a try block, if these particular things are not being done properly, then you can simply go to the catch block and then catch these particular errors here. So for error handling we use try catch block, and reject and resolve for promises. So this is the asynchronous JavaScript part that we have completed now. So I hope this part is clear to all of you. With that we complete the JavaScript part for now. And now we what we are left with is APIs and the backend part. So if you guys have any doubt, you can ask in the chat box, and I am open for all the questions regarding the JavaScript part that we have studied today. If you guys have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, if you guys don't have any doubts, I guess we can end the session for now. Thank you guys for your time. Have a nice day.